Hi students, today I am going to prepare a very interesting video for all of you for your overall enjoyment of physics. In this video you will get some overall idea of particle mechanics. Just try to enjoy. I have thought of putting the things in such a way that a forest so also a very potential student can enjoy with equal capacity. So it's not an easy task to satisfy all types of students at a time. तो हम ये वीडियो में आप लोगों को सब लोगों को खुश करने के लिए एक प्रयास एन एक्सपेरिमेंट हम कर रहे हैं. And I will definitely modify my future videos that will be delivered in the regular classes after receiving your suggestions. This is first of its own kind of the video I am putting. इसमें मैं मिक्स करूंगा लैंग्वेज को, इंग्लिश, हिंदी एंड some Odia what I can speak with some limitations so that everybody can enjoy and grasp with equal ease. फिजिक्स समझने के लिए एक इंटरेस्टेड दिमाग चाहिए. You have to understand that physics is understandable. You have to understand that physics is understandable. ना सर फिजिक्स तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. अरे भाई फिजिक्स डिफिकल्ट है ही नहीं. इसको डिफिकल्ट बोल बोल के माइंड में एक इंप्रेशन डाला जाता है. फिजिक्स एक डिफिकल्ट सब्जेक्ट है. इट्स नॉट सो डिफिकल्ट एज इट सीम्स टू बी. जैसे हम वे डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं तो डॉक्टर डरा देता है, भाई आपको ये सब ये हो गया, ये टेस्ट करना पड़ेगा. साइकोलॉजिकल, दे विल क्रिएट सम न्यूरोपैथ. सिमिलरली इन आवर एजुकेशन इंडस्ट्री, so called teachers, they are very fond of creating an impression that physics is a difficult subject. No, rather I would like to tell you it is an interesting subject. एक बार नशा लग गया तो ये बंधन से मुक्त होने के लिए कोई चाहेगा नहीं. Everybody falls in love, but nobody rises in love. Love पतन का कारण होता है. But love with what? Love with others, accept knowledge. But when you love the knowledge, as a physics teacher, I am talking about the physics knowledge. When you love physics knowledge, it will rise, it will uplift you. आपको इतना दूर ले जाएगा, आपका करियर बना देगा ये फिजिक्स. फिजिक्स इज द बेस्ट सब्जेक्ट फॉर all entrance examinations. If you have a grip in physics, you can win the race, you can crack any entrance examination, needless to mention. So, ये जो मैं वीडियो आप लोगों के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहा हूँ, ये सब ओवरऑल आइडिया मैं दे रहा हूँ. Everybody knows all these things. I cannot teach you different things, but I will definitely try my best to teach you in different ways. पार्टिकल मैकेनिक्स, ये जो मैकेनिक्स होता है, पार्टिकल मतलब क्या होता है, कोई ऑब्जेक्ट को हम लेते हैं तो हम इसको बोलते हैं पार्टिकल. तो इसका जो साइज है, इस साइज को हम क्या करते हैं, इमेजिन करते हैं इसका साइज बहुत छोटा हो. Its size is very small compared to that of the house. The size of a house is very small compared to the entire estate. The size of the estate is very small compared to the state. The size of the state is very small compared to the country, and the size of the country is very small compared to the entire globe, and the size of the globe is quite small compared to the entire solar system, and size of the solar system is very small compared to the entire cosmos. So it is a relative aspect. Therefore, we have designed a concept, mathematical concept, a point, and something is imagined as a point. There something is nothing but the stuff, the mass. We call it point mass. But point mass doesn't mean that the density is infinite. It is a misconception. A point has no length, no breadth, and no height. It has some position. It has some location. So we have to start from the point object. When you see the stars, they appear as a point. They appear as points. So they are the point masses. But when you go nearer to the stars, you can see they are magnetic. Their size will be trillions times more than that of our planets and sun. So the idea of the point is used in particle mechanics. Particle is a point mass. Particle is nothing but a point mass. When a mass is placed at a point, or when you squeeze the entire thing to a point, the density will be infinite. You should not think in that way. Point mass means what? It is a hypothetical concept. If you take an atom, electrons are point. If you take the solar system, the earth, the moon, these are the planets, are the points. So point mass means particle. And mechanics, what is mechanics? Mechanics is the study of motion of a point mass. That is called particle mechanics. And the particle mechanics, it has both kinematical and dynamics portion. Kinematics deals with only the measurement of its position, its velocity, and its acceleration, only the measurement part. And in kinematics we have one-dimensional kinematics, two-dimensional kinematics, three-dimensional kinematics. In one-dimensional kinematics we have the straight line motion. If you leave an object, it moves straight, it falls freely. And there is a misconception about the free fall. And one nice question was set in many entrance examinations, including IIT Advanced also. Once, maybe 16 or 15, they asked one question, that when a planet revolves around the sun, is it freely falling? And many students got confused, many teachers also got confused. One teacher asked me, he hailed from IIT, "Sir, how can we say that the planets are freely falling?" He had the doubt. But in fact, all the planets are freely falling objects. So free fall doesn't mean that they must move in a straight line. Freely falling objects are subjected to only influenced by, affected by, or they are moving by the effect of gravity only. No other forces must act on the objects, on the masses. When an object moves only the action of only gravity, we can call them freely falling objects. That's very interesting. So the free fall concept will be discussed. Free fall. Free falling. Its path, if you throw a stone, it moves in a parabolic path. So that is called projectile. projectile motion. And there is also motion under gravity, where the acceleration of the object is a constant quantity when the particle or the body moves near to Earth. Okay. And when you draw a body, it moves in a straight line, it is also moving under the gravity, and we can ignore all the resistance forces, air drag and others. Well, so this is also free fall, and projectile motion also free fall, and the circular motion, some planets they revolve around the sun in circular path, that is also freely falling object. And some planets they move in elliptical paths, and you may know that circle is a special case of an ellipse, and semi-major and semi-minor axes are equal. Therefore, you should not get confused, and you should be theoretical strong, because 70% you will get theoretical questions. So the planetary motion, it may be circular, it may be elliptical, they are all freely falling objects because they move under the action of gravity. Number one concept. We will definitely emphasize on freely falling objects. Under the concept of free fall, no? फ्री फॉल कंसेप्ट के अंदर हमको 3 चीज कवर होता है, 3 चैप्टर। एक है तो हम बॉडी को छोड़ दिया, ये एक स्ट्रेट लाइन पाथ में इट मूव्स इन ए स्ट्रेट लाइन। व्हेन यू थ्रो द बॉडी अप, दैट इज आल्सो फ्री फॉल। सर ऐसे कैसे फ्री फॉल हो जाएगा, हम तो इसको फेंक दिया ना। अरे फेंक दिया मतलब क्या है, जस्ट द बॉडी लिफ्ट्स our hand, it will be only subject to gravity, तो ये फ्री फॉल हो जाएगा। Either you may throw vertically up, or you may throw vertically down, or you may throw horizontally, or you may throw in any oblique direction. That will move under the action of gravity only. Therefore, it is a freely falling object. Well, so free fall जो कंसेप्ट है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंसेप्ट है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंसेप्ट है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कंसेप्ट फ्री फॉल। ये फ्री फॉल के अंदर में we get straight line motion when a body moves under the gravity in a straight line, when it is thrown up or thrown down, or it is just dropped from rest, that is also free fall with initial velocity 0. Well, then when we throw the body in any direction, projectile motion, when you throw the body in any direction, when the angle theta made by the velocity with respect to horizontal at the time of projection is none other than, or other than 0 degree, it is oblique projection. If it is 0, horizontal projection. If it is general, oblique projection. So that is called projectile motion. So 2 चैप्टर आ गया। एक चैप्टर आया हमारा when you release the body, it moves straight. Either you throw the body up or throw the body down. The 3 cases. So upward projection, downward projection, or release it. ये तीनों केस जो होगा, in 3 cases the body moves in a straight line. ये आ रहा है under one dimensional motion. इसमें भी free fall आता है. So students should not confuse the one dimensional motion is a free fall and projectile motion is not free fall. Projectile motion also is a freely falling object. And what about the bodies moving around the sun? They are also freely falling objects. Whether they move in circular path or elliptical path doesn't matter. So planetary motion and gravitation, projectile motion and kinematics, and in one dimensional motion the free fall also is coming. So the free fall जो है ये 3 चैप्टर को कवर करता है। तीनों चैप्टर में हम इसको डिस्कस करेंगे। क्या क्या है चैप्टर? प्रोजेक्टाइल मोशन, वन डायमेंशनल मोशन एंड ग्रेविटेशनल मोशन. सो ये काइनेमेटिक्स 1D में हमको डिस्कस करना पड़ेगा ग्राफ्स के बारे में. As you know, in kinematics we have a 2D also. In 2D we have circular motion, relative motion, projectile motion. All these things will be discussed. And in 3D I will discuss very rare. Maybe within 5 minutes I can complete this. It's not so essential. Yeah, for J point of view or medical point of view. And this thing, but overall, in 3D or in curvilinear motion, in general kinematics, when you throw an object, it moves in any arbitrary curve. For this, general formula of velocity is that at what rate the position is changing, that is what you call velocity. At what rate the velocity is changing, that is what you call acceleration. And there are two different concepts, velocity and acceleration. Velocity has two parts, one average, one instantaneous. Acceleration is two parts, one average, one instantaneous. Okay, and these are, when you put velocity as dr by dt, it will be d square over dt square. It is the another formula of acceleration, and v dv by dr also another formula of acceleration. Time to time I will explain it. Instead of dr you can write ds, doesn't matter. So these are the formulae, everybody knows all these formulae, and these are the general formulae of the kinematics. And when you put a constant acceleration or uniform acceleration, when the acceleration of an object is constant, that is another confusing statement. Constant acceleration का क्या मतलब होता है साहब? हम बॉडी को ऐसा फेंक दिया, ऊपर जा रहा है, नीचे भी आ रहा है, बट ऑलवेज आ रहा है जा रहा है मतलब वेलोसिटी, एक्सेलरेशन नहीं. The body may move up, it may move down, but always it is accelerating down with a uniform acceleration of 9.8 meter per second square. So it is a freely falling object, moves under the gravity with uniform acceleration, that is 9.8 meter per second square. So uniform acceleration means its magnitude and direction both are constant. When the acceleration remains constant in both magnitude and direction, using all this these two formulae, we can derive all this formulas. Everybody may know this. But one interesting thing, what many students they don't understand, ये simple as नहीं है, ये a dot है, s है, a dot. इसके बारे में बताऊंगा. b square equal u square plus 2a dot s. कभी ये पॉजिटिव हो सकता है, कभी ये नेगेटिव हो सकता है, कभी ये जीरो हो सकता है. इसके बारे में बताऊंगा. अच्छा, then after kinematics we have the dynamics. Dynamics में जो है न्यूटन सेकंड लॉ F equal to ma. लगता है simple, but it's not so simple, but it's very interesting. F equal to ma, ये है dynamical formula. Here a equal to dv by dt or v dv by ds or d square over dt square. These are the kinematical portion. ये acceleration का kinematical formulas. This kinematical formula of acceleration, and this is the mass. But another interesting बात मैं बोल रहा हूँ, ma जो है, ma force नहीं होता है. ये force है F, ये product of mass and acceleration, and I will talk about it in our following discussion. Well, so इसमें और दूसरा chapter भी है, and different chapters we can have in dynamics and statics, statics and dynamics. Statics का मतलब है the acceleration of the object is zero. Static का मतलब ये है acceleration zero होना चाहिए. सर velocity ठीक है, तो वो चीज मैं डिस्कस करूंगा. इसमें फ्रिक्शन भी है, डायनामिक्स ऑफ सर्कुलर मोशन भी है, वर्क एनर्जी, पावर, कॉलिजन वगैरह वगैरह ये सब चैप्टर्स है. एनीवे, सो पहले हम लोग काइनेमेटिक्स को डिस्कस करेंगे, एंड आई विल टॉक अबाउट द वेरी क्रूशियल एरर प्रोन पॉइंट्स ऑफ काइनेमेटिक्स. इसमें काफी चैप्टर्स है. इसमें है प्रोजेक्टाइल मोशन, रिलेटिव मोशन, सर्कुलर मोशन, आई मीन 2D में, एंड इसमें स्ट्रेट लाइन मोशन, इसमें ग्राफ्स जो है, हाँ, कैसे ग्राफिकल प्रॉब्लम्स कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे इसके बारे में बताऊंगा. इट विल वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर यू. अभी हम लोग एक इनफॉर्मल वे में स्टार्ट करेंगे. इनफॉर्मल मतलब एकदम डे टू डे एक्सपीरियंस. इससे एक फायदा होगा, रटना नहीं पड़ेगा. जो हम देखते हैं वही लिखेंगे. जैसे कि मैं ये टिप को यहां से स्टार्ट किया, ये इनिशियल पोजीशन है. इसे स्टार्ट किया, मैं इस तरफ जा रहा हूं, यहां खत्म हो गया. तो इसका मतलब है ये डिस्प्लेसमेंट हो गया S1. फिर यहां से ऐसा करके मैं यहां तक आ गया एंड आई एम अंडरगोइंग अनदर डिस्प्लेसमेंट, क्या, S2. फिर यहां से फिर मेरे को इस तरफ आना पड़ रहा है, अंडरगोइंग अनदर डिस्प्लेसमेंट S3. इसमें कोई प्रूफ का जरूरत है नहीं, बिकॉज व्हाट एवर वी आर ऑब्जर्विंग वी आर राइटिंग दैट मच. इसका मतलब है ये फिर इनिशियल पॉइंट वो आगे आई है. यहां से स्टार्ट हुआ था I से एंड फाइनली ये फाइनल मतलब F, इनिशियल मतलब I एंड F ये दोनों पॉइंट सेम है, बिकॉज this step is it returns to its original position. It returns to its initial position. Therefore, कितना डिस्प्लेसमेंट हुआ? 0 हुआ. क्यों? बिकॉज यहाँ था, यहाँ आ गया. इसका मतलब कितना डिस्प्लेसमेंट हुआ? 0 हो गया. नेट नेट डिस्प्लेसमेंट, रिजल्टिंग डिस्प्लेसमेंट, यहाँ से यहाँ गया, यहाँ से यहाँ गया, यहाँ से यहाँ गया. तो तीनों डिस्प्लेसमेंट का रिजल्टेंट कितना हुआ? 0 हुआ. कैसे? हम देख रहे हैं ना, इट कम्स बैक टू इट्स ओरिजिनल पोजीशन. इसलिए फिजिक्स में इसको लिखा जाता है S1 प्लस S2, S1 वेक्टर प्लस S2 वेक्टर प्लस S3 वेक्टर. द सम ऑफ दिस थ्री डिस्प्लेसमेंट्स इज इक्वल टू 0 डिस्प्लेसमेंट. इट इज ए 0 वेक्टर. अगर 0 वेक्टर का एग्जांपल देना हो तो ये इसका एग्जांपल हम दे सकते हैं. एंड और एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ये दे रहा है, ये कॉन्सेप्ट हमको क्लियर कर रहा है. It is not simple 0, it is 0 vector. Well, and this gives another idea of triangle law vector, which states that this forms a vector triangle. This is the side of the, suppose it's the first side, the second, third side. So these are the sides. The sides are represented by the arrows. The arrows are the displacements. Displacements are given by the arrows. When we have a triangle, the sides of a triangle are represented by the vectors. For instance, simplest vector is displacement vector. We can understand because when somebody moves in this way from position I to position F, initial point to final point, they directed arrow from initial to final point. At the end of the final point, it is called displacement. And this इसको हम distance कहते हैं. Everybody knows this. Well, so displacement is 0. यहाँ 0 हो जाता है because the final point initial point के ऊपर coincide कर जाता है. Final point coincides with the initial point, therefore the displacement is equal to 0. ये जो displacement हो रहा है, 0 displacement हो रहा है, तीनों displacement के बाद 0 displacement हो रहा है. इसका मतलब है the effect, combined effect of the three displacements, combined effect of this three displacements, the resultant of this three displacements, summation of this three displacement is equal to 0. इसको कहेंगे triangle law of vectors, which states that if three vectors are represented by the sides of a triangle in one sense. This sense is what? This sense is clockwise. It's anti-clockwise sense. It may be clockwise sense. So, in one sense, S1 and S2 and S3 vectors are oriented. So, S1 plus S2 plus S3 net displacement is equal to 0. So it gives us the idea that when the displacement, three displacements can be added to a zero displacement, since the derivative, the rate of change of displacement is velocity, and rate of change of velocity is the acceleration. इसका मतलब double derivative of the displacement is the acceleration. And mass times this quantity is nothing but the force. This is Newton's second law. Because this obeys the law of acceleration, definitely force must have to obey the law of acceleration. Therefore, like displacement, force must also be a vector quantity. It has both magnitude and direction. इसका मतलब ये हुआ f1 plus s2 plus s3 अगर 0 हो सकता है तो इसका डबल डेरिवेटिव जो है एक्सेलरेशन एंड मास प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म में रहेंगे तो दैट इज इक्वल टू फोर्स. देयरफॉर f1 plus f2 plus f3 can also be 0. अगर एक कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो जाता है when three forces are added to give a zero force, then that condition is called equilibrium. ये और एक कंसेप्ट है. ओह सर, सो इसका एग्जांपल लिख दीजिए. एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल लिया. This hybrid man hangs from this point. तो ये दोनों जो रोप है, this rope is pulling this man in this way with the force F1. This rope is pulling this man with the force F2. These forces are called tension. I'll be discussing in this chapter of Newton's law. Well, and the Earth's gravity pulls this man down with a force F3 that is equal to mg. G is the gravitational acceleration and m is the mass of the object. So तीनों फोर्स मिला के तीनों फोर्स एक्ट कर रहा है बॉडी के ऊपर. ये आदमी के ऊपर तीनों फोर्स एक्ट कर रहा है. एक ग्रेविटी इसको डाउनवर्ड खींच रहा है, ये स्ट्रिंग इसको ऐसा खींच रहा है, ये स्ट्रिंग इसको ऐसा खींच रहा है. तीनों फोर्स मिला के ये बॉडी को कितना एक्सेलरेशन दे रहे हैं. सर ये बॉडी तो मूव नहीं कर रहा है. कैसे सर, हम देख रहे हैं ना, ये लटका रहा है, ये लटक रहा है. इट्स नॉट मूविंग एट ऑल. वो वेलोसिटी इज जीरो. देखो इसके कोई प्रूफ नहीं बताया था ना, कोई प्रूफ नहीं चाहिए. जो देख रहे हैं हम इसी को लिखेंगे. सब वेलोसिटी जीरो हो गया. ओ सब वेलोसिटी जीरो हो गया, इसका मतलब ये चेंज नहीं हो रहा है क्या? नहीं, चेंज नहीं हो रहा है. और ये चेंज नहीं हो रहा है, इसका रेट ऑफ चेंज कितना? जीरो. पर सर रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ वेलोसिटी नथिंग बट एक्सेलरेशन. यस, एक्सेलरेशन. पर एक्सेलरेशन जीरो हो गया तो नेट फोर्स कितना होगा? जीरो होगा. पर नेट फोर्स कितना फोर्स लग रहा है इसके ऊपर? तीनों फोर्स का नेट, that is nothing but mass times the acceleration. Acceleration इसलिए जीरो हो रहा है because velocity जीरो. डेरिवेटिव ऑफ रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ वेलोसिटी जीरो, इसलिए एक्सेलरेशन जीरो. इसलिए एक्सेलरेशन जीरो हो गया तो नेट फोर्स जीरो हो गया. नेट फोर्स इज नथिंग बट combined action of these three forces. Resultant of these three forces must be equal to zero. This is the condition of equilibrium. And there are three types of equilibrium: stable, unstable and neutral. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जिसको मैं वर्क एनर्जी पावर में समझाऊंगा. And three forces when they are given by represented by the sides of a triangle, then by applying triangle law of vectors. This is the basis of triangle law of vectors. So the force behaves like the displacement, velocity behaves like displacement because velocity is the first derivative of the displacement and force is the second derivative of the displacement times the mass. Therefore force also behaves like displacement. So यहाँ से ये you can see how the concepts are interrelated, interdependent and interconnected. That is what I am trying to explain you. Now let us take an example. Which of the following triad of forces, triad मतलब तीन को triad, तीन forces or three forces. Which of the following triad of forces can equilibrate an object? Equilibrate का मतलब क्या होता है? To have a net effect of force is equal to zero, so that it will produce zero acceleration. So which of the following triad of forces when acting on an object simultaneously will produce no net effect, means zero acceleration or zero force? So इसका concept क्या है? मैं बताया. if three displacements are represented by the sides of a triangle, because हम यहाँ से यहाँ मूव कर रहा है डिस्प्लेसमेंट S1, यहाँ से यहाँ मूव कर रहा है डिस्प्लेसमेंट S2, यहाँ से यहाँ मूव कर रहा है डिस्प्लेसमेंट S3. सो टोटल कितना हो रहा है S1 प्लस S2 प्लस S3. इसका मतलब ये नहीं इसका मैग्नीट्यूड प्लस इसका मैग्नीट्यूड प्लस इसका मैग्नीट्यूड जीरो नहीं होता है. S1 वेक्टर प्लस S2 वेक्टर प्लस S3 वेक्टर इज इक्वल टू जीरो वेक्टर, जीरो डिस्प्लेसमेंट. ये इसका आइडिया है. सो यहाँ से हम ये करेंगे, एक ये आइडिया लेंगे. इसको कभी कभी हम इन जनरल हम लिख सकते हैं A, but it is valid for all types of vectors. It may be force, it may be velocity, it may be acceleration, it may be momentum, it may be torque, any other vectors. For all vectors, this triangle law vector is valid. And S2 को हम B लिखेंगे, S3 को हम लिखेंगे C. When A, B and C, three vectors are represented by the sides of a triangle in one manner, in one sense, either anti-clockwise or clockwise. Head to tail हम जान कर रहे हैं इसको. Tail of the vector B is connected to the head of vector A. Tail of vector C is connected with the head of vector B, and tail of vector A is connected with the head of vector C in this way. So it forms a vector triangle. ये एक साइड, ये एक साइड, ये एक साइड. अगर ये फर्स्ट साइड होगा तो सेकंड और थर्ड. Anything you can, any side you can take first, the other will be second and third. Well, the sum of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the third side, length of the third side, and the difference of any two sides of a triangle is must be lesser than the third side, length of the third side. So ये जो दोनों कॉन्सेप्ट है ये तो 8th स्टैंडर्ड का कॉन्सेप्ट है. इसको ट्रायंगल लॉ ऑफ सॉरी इसको कहेंगे प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ ट्रायंगल. ये ट्रायंगल प्रॉपर्टी का यूज करके हम कोई ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. This problem has been set in many entrance examinations, including IIT JEE and different medical entrance examinations. But ये concept को use करके within 30 seconds you can solve the problem. एक काम करेंगे, इसको मैन्युअली करेंगे. ये तीनों को ले लेते हैं. ये एक साइड का लेंगे, ये अनदर साइड, ये अनदर साइड. सम ऑफ एनी टू 1 + 2 मिलाएंगे तो थर्ड साइड का लेंगे जो 5 है, 5 से कम हो रहा है. तो 1 single statement is enough to disprove the thing. 1 + 2 sum of any two side is less than third, but greater than होना चाहिए. लेस हो गया तो ये पहले से डिस्कार्ड कर देंगे, नहीं होगा. These three forces cannot equilibrate an object. सेकंड को चले जाओ. 3, 9 and 10. 3 न्यूटन, 9 न्यूटन, 10 न्यूटन. So 3 + 9 12 आ रहा है, 12 is greater than 10. 9 + 10 19, 19 is greater than 3, and 3 + 19 3 + 10 is 13 is greater than 9. ये तो ठीक हो गया. The first statement is correct. And second statement देखेंगे. 10 - 3 7 is less than 9. 10 - 9 is 1 that is less than 3, and 9 - 3 that is 6 is less than 10. So it is satisfying both the criteria, both the properties. So this triad can equilibrate. And what about this one? इसको भी हम करके देखेंगे. 12 + 8 is 20 is greater than 13. 12 + 13 is 25 is greater than 8, and 13 + 8 21 is greater than 12. So first criteria is satisfied. What about the second criteria? Sum of subtraction of or difference of any two sides must be less than that of the length of the third side. Well, 12 - 8 that is 4 is less than 13. 13 - 12 is 1 is less than 8, and 13 - 8 this is 5, and 5 is less than 12. So it is satisfying the second criteria also. इसलिए ये जो ट्रायड है ये भी इक्विलिब्रेट कर पाएगा. So which of the following triad of forces can equilibrate an object? ये दोनों ठीक होगा, B and C. और cannot अगर बोलेंगे तो cannot. यही होगा correct answer. In this way you can answer the question. You can answer this type of questions you can answer by using the concept of triangle law of vector addition. This is quite in simple way I have narrated the triangle law of vector addition.